Welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great day. So today I want to again go on this odyssey and research talking about futuristic economies in some of our science fiction lore in various areas. But kind of the granddaddy of them all, Dune, the series that inspired Star Wars, that has inspired just about everybody in the science fiction genre. Kind of modern day kind of stems from Dune. Uh, um, and today we want to talk about the economics of it and how it works, right? How it worked in the Dune universe, right? What type of economy was this? So, to kind of get a picture of how the Dune economy worked, first we have to understand kind of what type of government it worked on. And from our research, the best we can gather is that Dune had a ruling council known as the Landsrat, which was sort of like these noble houses, right? But what they are is, because remember this is interplanetary, so what this is these are planetary systems where noble houses rule planets, right? And they govern through a body called the Landsrat, which has an emperor. Now this emperor, uh, uh, who wields quite a bit of power. Uh, from my understanding and what I'm learning about Dune is that he isn't all powerful, right? He's not like when you think of straight monarchies, right? This is more similar to what you might have got in Great Britain uh, in around the 18th century with the Dutch East India Company, right? Where you had a king, you had a monarch, but then you had these powerful corporations, right? That were as powerful and as big as the monarchs, right? And in some cases could greatly control and influence the monarchs. And that's kind of like what you get in Dune. Now, their economy is a very interesting economy, kind of unlike many we see and generally when we think of futuristic economies. Interesting enough, the channel we do here is mostly, I think, dealing with futuristic economies or what will be. We talk a lot right now about the most advanced technology in the world, blockchain technology, dealing with currency, right? And so it's very interesting. We have a variety of governments on our planet, but we have this global economy that has a very uh, uh, global, inclusive economy uh, through use of digital currencies, right? Um, and so the Dune economy, although it's probably set like 10,000 years into our future, uh, this economy is a very much devolved one, right? And we'll explain that as we go here. But um, so setting up the framework again of the government and how commerce is conducted. Dune basically is at a stage in a future economy where they're doing space travel, right? Now everything, all the routes of trade and commerce, similar to like what we got with our Star Wars video, Star Wars economy, is conducted by the expansion of these worlds to various planets where certain resources of value are mined and controlled. And so uh, the problem with the Dune economy is that space travel is a monopoly, meaning there is only one particular uh, entity for the most part that controls space travel, and that's called the Space and Guild, right? So you have a lot of players in the Dune universe governments. You have the Emperor, then you have the Lance Rat, which is this ruling body. Then you have a company called the Chom, which is basically this corporation that has shares in the commerce and trade, similar to the Dutch East India Company of these planetary systems, right? So in other words, you pretty much got like three controlling factors. You got the Spacing Guild that is actually piloting these spacefaring vessels, and then you got the Lance Rat, which is the body of nobles, and then you got the Emperor. Now, to break it down, it doesn't work like a monarchy or an autocracy, more so as it works like a feudalist system versus a crony capitalist model, right? So a lot of similarities with that in the Star Wars economy, but there are some key significant differences. For example, uh, to contrast it with Star Wars and even like Star Trek, a lot of labor and is dependent on robots, computers, and such, right? In the Dune future series, there is no robots or computers, and the reason for that is because they are at a stage, or they've surpassed the stage in what we feel like we're going to get in our future economy or our future world of AIs destroying mankind. So what happens in Dunes is you have two groups of people, one who's solely dependent on computers and robots and want them around, and then you have a group of people who see them that is taking away human achievement, is making humans lazy, and there's this rebellion to destroy all computers and robots, right? So what's so interesting about that is in a very futuristic, sophisticated, advanced technology in the future like this, they don't have thinking machines or robots. They instead have focused on human achievement, advances in expanding consciousness, longevity, and they have focused on being like human calculators, being like human computers, where the brain is explored to its maximum capacity, and you have and just focusing on that, they produce these amazing human beings, mentex, which are basically human computers, humans that have just disciplined their minds and become like computers, right? So that they don't have the problems like we're having in Chat GPT. You know what's funny is that even when I talk about cryptocurrency, I talk about these future technologies. If we look at something like Chat GPT, where now there are signatures going around in the tech in the AI fields to slow down development of Chat GPT because it's moving along so fast. We're afraid what's going to happen to human beings, that these supercomputers could destroy us all, right? And of course, you hear notable people like Elon Musk and the others talking about things like this. So, getting into the type of economy you have in something like this, uh, again, it's this feudalist, crony capitalist model. And that is because of the monopoly on the spacing guilds, right? The traveling. Uh, and they have cornered the markets on it, so it's illegal for anybody else to do it. So, uh, basically, you have this spacing guild working close with the emperors, and it's mostly to control the oil of the future, which is called the spice melange, which is only mineable by one planet called the Arrakis, or what we know as Dune. So, um, the reason that the spice is so valuable is because what it's done is it increases longevity, right? So people are living longer when they consume this spice. And for some who are gifted, it can expand their consciousness to like superhuman levels, right? It's also very addictive, right? Like some of our most addictive drugs, right? And so many of the rich, wealthy people who are controlling this thing, they are trying to monopolize on this production, right? And all types of political issues are stirring up behind the spice. But let's get more back into the economic purposes, right? Because there are so many great videos on Dune lore and so on. You can get into that, but uh, to make it tangible for you to grab out and touch it and get a feel for it, the currency they use is called the Solari, and the Solari is basically would be equivalent to about twice the value of the U.S. dollars, around about $1.95. I feel like when I throw out numbers like that, it's people can very much grasp it and understand it, and it's mostly used between the lands, right? Again, this ruling council, right, of these interplanetary systems. Uh, it people kind of look at this as an inspiration as well for Game of Thrones, right? Which doesn't take place on Earth, but on some type of planet, I believe, with two stars, right, two suns. A lot of people don't know that, but the intrigue, the political intrigue of Game of Thrones, doing this kind of like that in space, right? So, right, Game of Thrones, medieval times, Dune kind of like out in space and so on. So, um, understanding the value of the Solari, you can kind of understand the value of money that's coming out of the Dune universe, right? Now, we speak now today in our economy on the fear of something called neo-feudalism. And that is like most of you all who get up and go to work every day, you notice that your dollars are getting value, what it can buy, your buying power is getting smaller and smaller, right? You're buying less and less. It seems the rich are getting richer and richer. And this closing of this wage gap, right? This wealth gap, uh, or rather the distance between it, right? Um, Kind of creates what you had in medieval times between a feudal system and a serfdom, right? And that's kind of how Dune works. Dune has kind of become like what some believe we're on the road to becoming in this neo-feudalist system. Dune would kind of be a neo-feudalist system, um, in that the people who actually do the work, because remember there's no computers, they earn very little, they get very little for their work, and these ruling classes of nobility, they live off the backs of these people. uh, when they're mining the spice, they have like the slave class. They're called the furmen, right? That do all the work on the planet Arrakis. They barely have water. They barely, have the planet is pretty much barren besides the spice, which is the most valuable thing in their known universe, right? Um, but there is this feudal system, crony capitalist model, right? And what's so very interesting about it all is this is the type of economy that many believe we're headed to as well. And it it starts to mirror Dune in some ways, right? With the exception of one thing, and that's being what is termed as a robot economy, in which some feel that a robot economy will create enough wealth to make the price of goods less, more cheap or more accessible. And so that will kind of balance things out. You might run into a situation in a robot economy where, no human labor is done at all. And that's very interesting. Whereas Dune is different. There are no robots to do it. So they're pretty much still enslaving humans, even in the future. So this is a very strange combination of the most advanced technology imaginable